That's right, so not only does Backblaze's software basically operate like a virus, overwhelming your system resources with no effective way to disable it, Backblaze will actually delete your data without even telling you, even though it's a quote, unlimited backup plan with so-called simple pricing. For those of you who may be considering a cloud-based backup provider, and specifically Backblaze, this video is for you. First, I just want to qualify this video by saying that for those of you with limited technical know-how and a very small amount of data to back up, say a few hundred gigs or less, Backblaze may work for your purposes. Also, for those of you who are thinking the word scam in the title of this video might be a bit harsh, all this really means is that it's dishonest, through their so-called simple pricing and unlimited backup, and that it's not as straightforward as they might like to make you think. Stay tuned for the end where I'll provide an alternative backup solution. To help give some context, I have an IT background specifically in the area of IT audit, where I reviewed the backup routines for some of the largest corporations in America, so I'd like to think I have a pretty reasonable understanding of the subject. So let's get into it. For the last few years, I've paid Backblaze hundreds of dollars to back up my data, and it seemed to be doing what I needed it to do. It wasn't until recently I started to notice issues. The first one came as a result of lockdown, where I started to do more live stream videos, which as you may already know require a high amount of system resources. Now, when I tried to disable Backblaze while I was streaming, I noticed the most I could do was pause it, which seems to only last for about an hour, and then it automatically turns back on. This is incredibly frustrating, and there's no way to disable it, and it crashed my live stream several times as a result. You may be thinking, well, why didn't you just pause it again? However, my computer was completely unresponsive and wouldn't allow me to pause it. And just for reference, this was a 2018 MacBook Pro, so it wasn't exactly an old computer. I contacted Backblaze's technical support team, and their only suggestion was to enable manual backup before I live stream, and then turn it back to automatic backup afterwards. This is not only cumbersome, it basically means the automatic backup is no longer automatic. Using this method is quite likely people will forget to turn it back on, and they won't be backing up. This seems to be by design, and their team seems to have no interest in offering more ways to temporarily disable the backup, such as having the option to set a time frame, or to have it automatically turn back on when we restart our computer. So if you live stream or run games or apps where you want to be able to have access to all of your system's resources, Backblaze probably isn't for you. Then there's the issue of the time it takes to just simply get our data on Backblaze's servers. I'll ignore the privacy issues around this, I'll let you look into that for yourself. Depending on the amount of data and your internet speed, it could take you weeks or even months before your first backup is complete. My initial backup took close to a month, and that's with an internet speed that typically has around a 10 megabit upload speed, which is pretty respectable, as well as disabling files that don't need to be backed up, and often leaving my computer running overnight, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which isn't ideal. Oh yeah, and if you change what you use one of your external hard drives for, and you want to be able to rename it, you can forget about that, because if you rename an external hard drive, you have to start over from scratch. That's right, there's no smart feature to figure out that it's the exact same files that have been backed up previously, and there's no option in Backblaze's application to let it know that the drive's simply been renamed. However, that's not even the worst part of my experience with Backblaze. As a result of this earlier issue, I started to rely more on local backups. In the process of setting this up, I had one of my hard drives crash, which led to data loss. Thinking all that money that I paid to Backblaze over the years might actually pay off, I went to try to restore my data. And I was shocked to find that it was nowhere to be found. When I reached out to Backblaze's customer support team, I learned that they had actually deleted my data, including the 2.3 terabits of data that I had on this external hard drive that I now needed access to, which also took me weeks to back up onto their servers. That's right, so not only does Backblaze's software basically operate like a virus, overwhelming your system resources with no effective way to disable it, Backblaze will actually delete your data without even telling you, even though it's a quote, unlimited backup plan with so-called simple pricing. I mean, let's look at this so-called simple pricing. So this is Backblaze's homepage. So meet personal backup. Okay, so page 2, Backblaze, okay, unlimited, we'll get into that. Okay, so $6 a month. Seems pretty straightforward, right? But the problem is it's not. Let's go to the pricing tab. This is the third page, by the way. They say it's $60 a year, but to get, quote, version history, you have to pay an extra $2 per month. This isn't listed anywhere I can see on their public website. You have to create an account and log in to even see this option, making it far from simple or straightforward pricing. Except I don't even need version history. I just literally need access to my last backup. Except I can't even get that because they deleted it. But don't worry, Backblaze will email you if you haven't signed up yet to tell you they're going to delete your data. Just not when you're an actual paying customer. Alright, I'm getting fired up here, and that's basically all I really wanted to say. So if you have very simple backup needs, perhaps Backblaze will work for you, but it certainly didn't work for me. So if you have large amounts of data, or you want to be able to easily disable it to live stream or run games or apps that may require a lot of system resources, just bear in mind that it will take absolutely weeks to get your data onto their servers, and there's no guarantee they won't just delete your data without even letting you know, like they did with me. Backblaze completely let me down, and I won't be using them again. Instead, I've moved towards backing up my data locally. This allows me to have more control over my backups, they don't take weeks to complete, and my data won't be deleted without me knowing about it. I mean, external hard drives are so cheap these days. You can get a 5 terabit one for about $100 US, which will quickly be paid for by the money you're saving, not paying for a cloud-based backup. Over the long run, it's likely to be a more cost-effective setup because unless you have to replace a hard drive, once you buy them, you're done. You may want to look into software such as Carbon Copy Cloner to help mirror your data between hard drives so you always have at least 2 versions to help keep it safe. As an extra level of protection, you may also like to keep important files on an external hard drive at a friend or family member's, or perhaps a workplace, in case there's any on-site disasters. Best of luck keeping your precious data safe, and I hope this helps to avoid you having the same headache that I had with Backblaze.